Hello, hello, my gorgeous ones. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. We have, well, we always have stuff going on with the planets, right? But the bigger picture or the most prominent things are the things that I kind of want to bring when I do tarot readings, right? So we have Jupiter transiting from Libra to Scorpio on October 10th. So I want to talk about that first. So welcome, welcome all you new ones. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cindy. I am the modern day spiritual advisor. I use multiple modalities to help you on your path, including tarot, astrology, hypnotherapy, and mediumship. So I want to let everybody know, or I want to thank everybody for being patient, because when I'm doing tarot, or especially with this channel, I'm expanding it just from tarot. I'm a teacher, I'm a spiritual advisor, that's what I do. So I'm always sort of teaching you guys. So I had to like really meditate, get centered, and try to help, or try to see how I was going to teach this, right? So, because it's important, there's such a big group that's watching, it's important for, everyone to sort of get the concept, right? And when I do that, I know the way a Virgo is hearing me is not the same way a Scorpio is hearing me, or a Cancer is hearing me, or an Aquarius is hearing me. So even though you may get frustrated at the way that I say things, just understand that it's not just you watching. There are many, many, many watching. It's important for everyone to get the concept. That's the way that I teach. So, back to this Jupiter transiting into Scorpio. So Jupiter transits for a year. And so October 10th, it's going to be transiting from Libra, because it was in Libra, and now it's going to move into Scorpio. So obviously when it moves into a different house and a different sign, then it's going to be doing different things, right? And so it's got to like play nice with the house, right? So it's almost like it's coming to live in a house, and the house has a, I don't know, ruler, a landlord, right? So when Scorpio, or when Jupiter moves into Scorpio, it's going to be doing something very different than when it did to Libra. Or it could be doing the same thing, just in a different way, right? So let's talk about Jupiter itself first. Okay, so Jupiter is it's a huge planet. So, and again, it transits for a year. And so Jupiter is the manifester. Jupiter in Vedic astrology, they call him the guru, right? Jupiter is the teacher. Jupiter wants to expand things. And Jupiter, pardon me, got something stuck in my throat. But Jupiter wants to like give gifts and expand your knowledge and expand your thinking and expand your way of life, right? But it wants to do it for responsible owners, okay? So, because it's a teacher. So it's like, yes, you can have your gifts, but you have to be responsible in them. It's almost like, when you get, because we've talked about lottery winners, when you get lottery winners, the person that's responsible and able to handle that is much different than the one that isn't. They're going to end up losing it, right? So Jupiter sees this and he wants to give it to everybody. Jupiter loves giving gifts, so he wants to give it to everybody, right? But he's saying, as a guru, there are responsibilities that you have to be able to take and have to be able to accept these gifts. So that's sort of Jupiter. Pardon me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. It must be a lot of you guys and myself. So Jupiter is like law and virtue and wealth. But Jupiter, being the guru or being the teacher, looks at like a lot of levels of a situation, or a lot of levels of what's going on when he's going to give you those gifts, right? So he's looking at everything and he's teaching you about those things, right? So Jupiter being in whatever house it's going to be in for you is going to be teaching you and expanding. And so it, like in the 10th house, where it's like your fame and your persona and all that, oh my gosh, it can make you grow so much out into the world and become this like person that everybody goes to and knows, right? But Before Jupiter got there, it was like, did you work hard for that? Were you doing your 16 hours a day or 14 hours a day studying and going and doing? That's what Jupiter's saying. Jupiter's like, I want to give you these gifts. Are you ready for them? Are you ready for them? And if you're not, he'll teach you. He'll teach you. And he's a what they call a malefic planet, right? So malefic is like a beautiful soft planet, right? So when Jupiter's looking at things, it's looking in the sign or the house, wherever he's at. He's looking at the positive and the negative. He's looking at both, right? But Jupiter is a masculine, what they call a masculine planet. So meaning when it's a masculine planet, it wants to manifest externally. So it wants to give you like the material. So it manifests externally. It's not like this inner pull or inner thing. It's like whatever you're learning, it can manifest into the physical. Does that make sense? So it'll want to manifest on an external level, right? So there are going to be some times during this year in your chart where you're going to have like, you know, the Jupiter and then the sun and so all those other planets sort of help and talk to each other, and that's what's going to be going on in your planets. I mean, in your houses. So when I'm doing this tarot reading, I'm doing it from your ascending, but you can look at your moon and you can look at your sun and you can look at your Venus. I mean, you can look at those things, but when you look at them from their point of view. Okay. So, I know a lot of people were like, no, it's not in this house, it's in that house. Well, it's my astrology, it's my reading. So I'm going to say it the way that I see it, and I'm going to say it the way that I'm being told to say it. So it may not be what your chart says, but it's what my chart said, right? So I just wanted to make that clear. Let me make sure that I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I don't forget everything about Jupiter. So I think the most important thing to understand, because it's ruled by Mars, I'm sorry, it's not ruled by Mars. I was looking at Scorpio. I think the most important thing that you need to understand is everybody gets this misconception that Jupiter's just going to give gifts and everything's going to be okay. And it's not. It depends on how it works in your house. It depends on what planets are there in your house, what house it's at, and how it's talking to the other planets, and how it's actually talking to the sign in your house, right? But it's going to be in Scorpio. So let's talk a little bit about Scorpio. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars, right? And we all know Mars. Mars is that ambition. It's that thing, that drive that makes you work hard, right? But also Mars can like take away harshly too. So Mars being, Scorpio being ruled by Mars, you're going to see that it's going to want to like, Jupiter is going to have to express itself in a Martian way, right? That makes sense? So let me say it this way. Let's just say, so Jupiter's been in a home in Libra for a year, and now he's got to move to a different home, right? So he's moving into Scorpio. And Scorpio, we'll just say the landlord is Mars, right? So Jupiter has to like sort of go by the rules of Mars and Scorpio, right? So if you think about it that way, that may help you. And the reason I'm explaining these characteristics, because I think it's really important for you to understand the planet and the sign and then your house, so that you know how to ultimately express these things, how to manifest these things in your life. Because you can, this is what the astrologers call octaves. Like you can express it in a negative, excuse me, what you call a negative way, or you can go to the finer vibration and express it in a positive way. But that's kind of up to you. That's where we have free will. That's where we have choices, right? And that's kind of up to you. But my job is to help you, to give you the knowledge and the understanding so that you know what you're working with, right? When you have the tools, you know what you're working with, right? So let's talk about Scorpio. Scorpio is sometimes a misunderstood sign. I know I've had the pleasure of having beautiful Scorpios around me, really beautiful Scorpios around me. It's not that I haven't seen beautiful Scorpios around me, but I've had the pleasure of having all the octaves, or what you call all the octaves around me. So I know how beautiful they can be, but I know how sometimes they're misunderstood because, you know, when you think about Scorpio, oftentimes they're just thought of as the ones that are keeping secrets, the ones that, you know, can manipulate, and the ones that are very sexual. Well, yeah, those are, you know, that Scorpio itself has those things in it, has those characteristics in it, but it doesn't necessarily, that's not all of what Scorpio is. Scorpio is just this beautiful, it has so many other beautiful things. So let's talk about what that is. So let's talk about some characteristics. So some characteristics about Scorpio is being secretive and aggressive, the protector, right? So if you're close to any Scorpio, you know that they will protect you if they love you and they understand you. They will protect you till their death. Like, that's how Scorpios are. So, but they're also intuitive, very empathic, empathetic as well, right? And what they do is they love the taboo. They love what's out of the ordinary. So oftentimes the reason that they're secretive, they're not meaning to be secretive in a malicious way. They're being secretive because they're thinking, and this is not all Scorpios, but they're being secretive because they're thinking what I see in this situation is probably not what society sees, and people probably won't understand that I'm okay with this, so I would just rather not say anything. That's a Scorpio. They're not trying to be malicious. They're not trying to be secretive. They're always thinking of you and thinking, well, you know, they don't really need to know that part because it's just my thought and my perception anyway. That's a Scorpio, right? So oftentimes there's that miscommunication in relationships where Scorpios being secretive, but it's because they think that it might be more harmful to you if you know what they're really thinking is okay, right? So take that into consideration when you're dealing with a Scorpio. Scorpio is about transformation. And if you've followed me forever, this is one thing I've always said about Scorpios. I always see them as the rising phoenix. I see them as going in, figuring it out, that inner deep, deep, deep stuff, because that's what they want to do. They want the knowledge of that deep, deep, deep occult, deep hidden, deep, deep stuff, right? And then they transform themselves. So let me say this, if you have a Scorpio in your life, they definitely, as much as they will push your boundaries, as much as, they won't push your boundaries, as much as your boundaries will be pushed, as much as your knowledge of the hidden will be pushed, you will ultimately be transformed and have the change into what you're supposed to be. That's Scorpio. Scorpio transforms into what you're supposed to be. Okay? So, having Jupiter go into Scorpio, that is what we're going to be dealing with over this next year, right? And depending on, this is where, you know, you want your chart read by an astrologer. Depending on the degree and which house will depend on that type of transformation, will depend on that type of knowledge, will depend on that type of thing that's going on. But again, because Jupiter's in there, it's going to expand it. It's going to make it bigger, right? So going back to Jupiter going into Scorpio. So in this time with Jupiter going into Scorpio and having to play by Mars and Scorpio's rules, right? Because now they're roommates. Now he's got to, or that's his landlord. So now Jupiter's got to be like, Jupiter's like, well, I got to go by these rules. So Jupiter is going to be in your house, wherever he's at, is going to be digging deep for knowledge, digging deep for the teachings. That's what Jupiter is going to have to do, right? Because Jupiter and Mars are friends. So Jupiter plays well with Mars. He just has a different way of doing things. But he understands that once he's in the Scorpio house, he's got to play by the rules, right? Like I said, Jupiter loves to give gifts. He loves to do that. But Jupiter is also about transformation and expansion. So that's why they play well together. They just do it in a different way, right? It reminds me of when a Gemini and Aquarius get together. Because you guys know my son is Gemini ascending Aquarius. So I have, in my lifetime, many, many Aquarian relationships. And so we have the same understanding about things, but we will be expressing it and explaining it in a different way, right? So it reminds me of kind of that. And I'm sure there are other signs, but I'm just bringing that to me. So, the one thing about Scorpio is that it is intense. So Scorpio is very intense. So whatever you're going to be going through, whatever this house is going to be lit up for you, wherever you're trying to express yourself, is, remember, because I'd said before, the planets are about expressing. It's the way that you're wanting to express it. And where it falls in the houses are the area of life you're wanting to express it. But the planets and the sign are about the way that you're wanting to express in your life, okay? So you're going to have some intense, deep, hidden things come about in your love life, in your life itself, in your love for family, in your businesses, in your money, in all of that. That's what Scorpio is about. It's about transforming, and so is Jupiter. So you're going to have some big transformation, which makes sense as to why I kept feeling transformation for everybody, because there's big transformation going on this year. Now, of course, this is only part of where the planets are, but this is a big part. And that's why I've decided to do Jupiter and Scorpio. So I'm going to go over each house. I'm going to go over each sign and tell you where it's at in your house, and then do the month of October reading. Okay? So I hope I explained everything correctly. Oh, I did want to mention too, this is very important because I know some of you, again, I'm speaking to a whole but many different people. And some of you will associate better with a chakra, right? So Scorpio is associated with the solar plexus. It's associated with your third chakra, right? So if you don't know what the third chakra is, or the solar plexus chakra, you can think of the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh as those that come from above, and then so in the spiritual almost realm, or in the energetic realm, right? And then the two down below are the ones that come from earth, or this earth, right? So if you take what you know from above and what you have from below, and you bring them together, you manifest through your third chakra. So you're all about manifestation in this chakra. Okay, so I think that's very important for a lot of people to understand. Now, depending on what house it is in and where your planets are aligned is going to depend on how you're going to manifest these things. What are you going to manifest, right? What area of life you're going to manifest and how. So I will see you in a minute. Okay, one more thing before I begin, I forgot to say. I wanted to talk about the ascending, the sun, and the moon very quickly so that you guys understand when you're watching. If you're watching from the ascending, you take this perspective, or the sun, you take this perspective, or the moon, you take that perspective, right? So the ascending, you can think of that as like your identity here in this world, right? Your identity. But when it comes from your ascending, when you're looking at it from your ascending, you're talking about your past lives, or if you don't believe in past lives, the stuff that's fated to happen, the stuff that's supposed to happen, the stuff that comes from nowhere, the stuff that, or the things, or the situation, or the people, like those relationships and whatever, fame, whatever that is. When it comes from, when you're looking at, that's why I like to work from the ascending, because this is stuff that was supposed to be yours anyway. This is stuff that's coming in for you anyway, because this is what you wanted to experience, because this is how you wanted to manifest, because, for all different reasons. So, or because, in your past life you did so much work and now you brought some of the gifts for this life, right? That's what you're looking at when you're looking at the ascendant, right? And that's why, sometimes what you guys call miracle just happened. Well, it happened because it was coming from your ascending. It was what you wanted to experience it in that way, right? So that's why I like to look at the ascending. And when you're looking at your ascending, that's the way that you want to see it. Okay? I mean, or not, you can do whatever. I'm just saying this is my understanding. So your sun, when you're looking at your sun sign, or you're watching from your sun sign, these are the directions that you can take. This is the intention that you put on your goals and your relationships and your way of life and the things that are happening to you. This is where you can make your choices, right? So this is more of the conscious mind, right? So you can think of it as like the ascending coming from your subconscious and the sun coming from your conscious, although they all have both. But this is where you can make your decisions and put your intention and put your focus, and this is where, you know, some people will say this is where your free will is, right? So when you're looking at it from your sun, it doesn't negate the fact that, you know, I mean, your ascending isn't more important than your sun. It all kind of works together. It's just that the ascending is where you get like those things that you're like, wow, that just happened, or oh my gosh, that just happened, right? Because that stuff like you probably didn't even see coming because it was fated for you. It was supposed to come in for you. It was like, that's like the miracles. That's from your higher self. That's from spirit. That's from you, from your whole being, right? And then the sun is more of that conscious. Now the moon is the way, when you're looking at it from your moon, this is where you get the information or get the relationship or get the things around you, and you're looking at them and you're processing them. And we process them many different ways, but we do it and we connect with it emotionally, right? So that's why they call the moon the emotional part. So this is where you're processing the information, and that's what you're doing when you're looking at the moon. When you're looking at it from the moon side, you're gathering the information and you're processing it emotionally. You're trying to connect to it. What do I want to do with it? What do I want to do with that situation? What do I want to do with that person? What do I want to do with my life? What is going on, right? That's the moon. So I just thought that was very important for everybody to understand. And please, even though I'm saying look at it from the ascendant, don't don't box yourself in. This is why I don't just do astrology, because astrology, just sometimes some people are so analytical and so to the T that you're missing out on this whole bigger picture. So absolutely look at it from your moon, because you might see a different thing. Look at it from your sun, because you might see a different thing. Look at it from your ascending. Look at it from all sides. That way you gather all the information, because they're all important. Okay? So I hope that helps. I'll see you in a minute. Alrighty, my Leo, my lovely, luscious lion. Sorry. Excuse me. So my gorgeous ones, for Leos, it's going to be in, Jupiter's going to be moving into your 4th house in Scorpio. So, what is the 4th house about? So the 4th house is I connect, and it's ruled by Cancer. So it's about your home, or your home is where your heart is, but it's about your ancestry too. So it's about your mother and your family, and it's where you learn that soul connection of not just here, but the connection, you know, with your higher self, or your ancestry, and, you know, your family or your mother, right? So that's why it's called the I connect. It's that space where you sort of know that. And so in the 4th house, things that could come through here could come from your ancestry. And if you remember what I said in the other one, I can't remember what I talked about with you guys, but you know, your lineage and your ancestry, you could be receiving benefits and stuff in this house, because remember, Jupiter wants to expand and grow and help you, but it wants to like manifest physically. So if there's a lineage of, you know, maybe you were supposed to get, you know, this sort of status, or a home, because it could be about home. Maybe you were supposed to get a home and it comes from nowhere, and all of a sudden the opportunity comes, and that's Jupiter helping with your lineage, right? It's time for you to expand into what it's like to own a home, what it's like to own a car, what it's like to, you know, all of that. So, but it's the idea of where home is where your heart is, so it's where you connect. So excuse me, with it being in your 4th house, with Jupiter going into your 4th house, it could be about, because remember, Jupiter and Scorpio are transforming and expanding. So it could be about your heart transformation, like your heart becoming bigger in a different understanding. It could be, you know, the struggle that you have about, can someone ever really love me the way that I want and need to be loved, and can I do it for them? Like, you could have this transformation in this house, right? So I feel a lot of you could have like changes in your home or changing homes. That's what I'm feeling. A lot of you, or you could have like this different and in-depth and more expansive understanding or relationship with your mother, or an understanding of why it was that that thing happened with your mother, or why it was that that relationship went that way with your mother, right? So you could be having that, but with Jupiter going into the fourth house, those things that have been really bothering you, they become, if you've been working on it and trying to figure it out, with Jupiter going in there, it's going to make it lighter and more understanding and sort of helping you get through that so that you can have transformation with an easier heart, a better understanding of the connection. Okay, so that's what's going to be going on for you guys. But remember, with Jupiter transiting for a whole year, it's going to be working on different levels. And so these things are going to be manifesting like throughout the year. So it's about growth and expansion and transformation. And those are the areas that it's going to hit for you. Okay. So with that being said, this is going to be your October forecast for 2017. So, and with this house. So in your first position, you have this Palace of Cups. And so you're already thinking about it, because the Palace of Cups is the state of mind. So you're already thinking about your relationships and how, like some of you, I can see, like, I've been dating for so long and I still can't find the right one. And I thought I had the right one. And like, you're sort of you're thinking about that. I can feel it. Like you're like, well, I really have this bond with this person, but they're not exactly what I'm wanting. And I thought that's what I wanted and I don't know. And, so it's been sort of a clearing and harsh time for you guys. And now it's going to get better. It's going to get more easy. Not right away, but it'll start easing up for you. So this is your first position, the state of mind of, what is it that I do want and need? What is it what type of relationships, what type of business, what type of money, what type of home, what type of, all of that, you're thinking about that. And you're really trying to connect to it. You're really trying to see it, because for some of you, I see that you're manifesting. So you're thinking, if I connect emotionally and really feel it, then it's coming, right? So I can kind of feel you guys with that. So wherever your love is focused, and for me, love is that energy or force that moves through all vibrations. So wherever your love has been focused, this is kind of where you're at right now. So their advice is that you have news coming. So you have news that's very passionate, that you get very excited about, and that you have to take action for. Okay, so being in the state is going to cause you to have some news come forth, either about a person or about the loved one that you have, or about your money, or about your contracts, or about your business, or whatever this is. So when you have this news, you do have to take action. That's their advice. Okay, so as you're doing this and you get this news, take the action. Now, some of you, I see you came from, you took some trips, or you took a trip. So you came from this and it made you rethink everything. So some of you may have moved in with somebody and it made you start thinking about other things. Some of you may have taken a trip and it started getting you to think about other, how you're really wanting, or what you're really wanting. So whatever this was, it was like fast movement, or you actually took a trip, or you moved in with a person, or it was like some movement that you did. And in that, it caused you to rethink. And that's what you're doing now. So in your fourth position at the first 2 weeks of October, so the first half of the month, you have the Ace of Coins. So you have new beginnings. Now, my beautiful, lovely, luscious lions, what you do with this beginning is up to you. So remember, Jupiter is going to be in your fourth house and it's going to be expanding it. And it can expand it both ways, positive or negative. But the Ace tells me that you have these new beginnings that you have worked for, that you were really trying to get to. And so when you get this new beginning, and it could be because of this news, but when you get this new beginning, depending on what you do with it is where it's going to go. So however much energy you put into this can be very stable. Okay, the coins, the Ace of Coins, is something that starts with stability. And depending on what you do and that other person does, or what you do and your business partner does, however much energy you put into it is how stable it will actually get and grow, right? So you have new beginnings at the beginning of, at the first half of the month. Some of you it's with a new partner. Some of you it's with a new business partner. Some of you it's actually getting some money because you've been working on that so long, okay? Or your finances becoming more stable, right? So you'll be working on that for the first 2 weeks of October. Now, in your fifth position from your higher self, I always ask your higher self, what is the one message they want to bring through to help you move forward in love? And you have the Page of Coins. For some of you, I feel like this is a person coming in to make you smile and be happy and help your heart become more at ease. That's what I feel like for some of you. For others of you, this is news that's going to be felt on an emotional level. Like, yeah, some of you, it's all different because I'm seeing some it's not so good and some it's good. But it kind of depends on where you are in your path, where you are in your cycle of life. But whatever this is coming in. Some of you, it's because you've been waiting for this person to come in and you're wondering if they're ever coming in. For others of you, you have a person, but you're waiting. You're like, is this the person or is this not the person? And they're saying you're going to be receiving news about that. Okay? So in your sixth position, towards the end of the month, so the second half of the month, you have the Hanging Man. And the Hanging Man is all about self-sacrifice. See? You see how his tippy toes are there? He's hanging because he put himself in that situation. He put himself in that position. Nobody put him there. He put him there. He put himself there because he's self-sacrificing for the greater good, for the other person, for the business, for whatever. That's what he did. So the second half, I feel like some of you could get back in that habit where you're giving and giving and giving and giving too much and you're sacrificing yourself. And you need to be very, very aware of that. That's for some of you. For others of you, I feel like you are taking a pause to really re-examine what it is that you're wanting as these situations come in. Okay? And that's okay. You can take a pause and you can sacrifice for the greater good or sacrifice for the other person. But if you've been doing it all along, that may not be something you're wanting to do. But for others of you, if it's about business or money or romance or family, if you need to take a pause, take a pause. Have a rest and kind of feel it out and see what's going on. But that's what you'll be doing in the second half of October. Now, from your seventh position, this is your fear. So some of you are fearful if that beginning will ever come. Will that beginning that I'm really wanting with a partner in my business or with a partner in my family or with a partner in my romance or whatever this is the new beginnings that you've been hoping for that hasn't been coming and you're afraid that it's not coming. Like, will it ever come? But this is just a fear. And for others of you, you're like, what if somebody comes in and ruins everything? What if somebody comes in and like it just sweeps me off my feet? And then, what will happen? Like, I'm kind of feeling that with some of you. But remember, this is just a fear. A fear is there to remind you of what you want and what you don't want. Now focus on what you want. It's just a fear. We live in a world of duality. It's something to bounce off of, right? So, because Jupiter and Scorpio are about expansion and transformation, this year is going to be expansion and transformation in this house for you, in the fourth house. Some of you have a lover coming, but this is karmic. Okay, this is a 50-50 card to me. This means we come together, and then after the lesson is learned, you have 50% and I've got 50%, whether to stay or go in the relationship. Okay, because some of you it's romance, but for others of you it's business partner. For others of you it's like friendship. So there's a lot of friendship going on here. So whatever this is, I'm seeing this in the month of October that you have this possibility of this person coming in. So congratulations, because for some of you it's a long time coming, and I feel like it's this or it's this, or some of you it's even this. Okay. Now in your ninth position, this is your hopes and dreams, but for me it's the outer realm of the energy you're bringing in. So this is the King of Wands. For some of you, this is you. You're getting to that place where you're really owning who you are. You're getting to that place where some of you are like, you know, I really want a partner because I love to love. I want to have someone there. I want to love someone and I want someone to love me. But I'm okay until that person gets here because I've done it so far and I'm happy. And that's where I feel like you're at. For others of you, you're at that place in your businesses or in your family dynamics where you're like, you're really coming into yourself. You're really coming into your own of not understanding that you're not failing. You don't fail at anything that you want to do. You're really understanding that. So that's for some. For others of you, this is a partner coming in. This is a business partner or a love interest. And because it's the king, to me, that doesn't mean it's a girl or boy or male or female. It just means that they're either a Leo, an Aries, or a Sagittarius. And a lot of you, I do see Sagittarians. So this could be this person coming in for you. But whoever this is either you or that person. That's in your outer realm that's coming. So, and it kind of all depends on the decisions you make and the phase of life you're at as to whether they'll come in October or not. Now, in your 10th position, this is your overall outcome of what you'll be working through in the month of October, and you have the Two of Wands. So again, my beautiful Leos, you have to make a decision. You don't want to be in the middle. And they're saying just because you go left does not mean you can't have what's on the right. It just means as time unfolds, you have to pick one so that you can start the energy of it unfolding. Okay? So absolutely use this time to really figure out, do I want to go left? Do I want to go right? Right? And you can wait till the end of the month until all these things unfold, but this is what you'll be working through, making that decision. Do I want somebody with me? And I know I do want somebody with me, but do I want this person with me? Or should I just continue living life the way I'm living without someone until that special someone comes in? Or for some of you, do I want to be closer to my family? Do I want to be closer to my ancestors? Do I want to, take this way in my business? Is money really that important to me? That's like for some of you. So whatever this is, you'll be working through it in the month of October. And they're saying, just make a decision. Doesn't mean you can't have both. Just pick one for now. All right, my gorgeous ones, thank you so very much for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing. I so appreciate it. Each and every time you do that, that helps the channel, helps me out so that I can get more of these done. So I love you, love you, love you. Bye.